DevOps Rob here. I'm going to take you through my desk setup that I use in my day-to-day as a developer advocate. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is I've had some posts which show my desk setup on my Twitter, and I've had loads of positive comments and people asking a lot of questions. So I thought I'd put this video together just to show you what I've done. Before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try and bring you great content. And also, if you like the content that you see, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it amongst your communities. Now, at the heart of my setup will be none other than this Samsung CHG90 49-inch. That's right, you heard it right, 49-inch ultra-wide curved monitor. I know loads of people that have these curved monitors and they absolutely love it. I've been reading a lot about it and I said to myself, okay, I'm going to give this a go. So my biggest concern was, would it fit? I looked up the measurements and in theory it fits, right? But the day it turned up, when I saw the box, I was just like, wow, I couldn't believe it. In fact, I think I put a post up on Twitter where I took a selfie standing next to the box, just so that you can see how big it is, right? So I've got the screen up and I absolutely love it. Now, one of the things that I like about it is I tend to favor a dual screen setup. And with this, it kind of works as two 27 inches side by side. But the beautiful thing about this is I don't have a bezel in the middle. I just have this fluid two screens next to each other. And if I have something that's panning across the two, it's just really nice to not have that, that interruption in your view. So that's absolutely great. But with a monitor of this size comes the challenge of finding the right mounting arm for it, which is by far probably the biggest headache I've had, right? I haven't had hair for a long time, but if I did have hair, I probably would have lost it and gotten to this level when I was looking for this mount. So I went through a couple of mounts out there. Now, I'm not really going to name the ones that didn't work, that even though they should have worked, because that's what the description said. But what I will do is tell you the one that I have that has worked, right? So I picked up one from Amazon. I think it's from a company called HF Tech, right? And it's really nice because it gives you like kind of two mounting arms and then you have a bar in the middle and the screen sits on the bar. Now, the good thing about that is it's nice and sturdy. People that left reviews about this, they kept using that word, saying sturdy. So I thought, okay, it should work. But then some of the other ones that should have worked then didn't work. People left reviews on those saying it was sturdy. So I'm really, really happy to see that I have a screen up there. It doesn't move unless I want it to move. And it's absolutely great. So I'll link that in the description below. So on the subject of mounting, let's talk about some of my other mounting kit that I have. I used the Elgato multi-mount to mount my camera and my key lights, right? Now, the reason why I use the Elgato multi-mount, let's face it, as far as mounts go, Elgato is not the cheapest out there. But I really like how you can extend the mounting kit. I think they have something called the Flex Arm kit, which I use. So my mount sits quite far back from my monitor. So I use the Flex Arm kit to bring my camera slightly forward so that it's at a nice distance between myself and it. The next thing I use in terms of mounting is I have the solid arm for the multi-mount. And there's so many different things I do with that. As things stand at the moment, I have it attached to my Flex Arm kit and it's holding a key light above, which is working out really well for me. It means that I only have one pole in the middle rather than having another pole for the key light, which is okay because it is still out of the way, but I'm trying to be as minimalistic as possible. So I like it. So in terms of cameras, I use a combination of a few different cameras. So the first one I use is a Logitech Brio. Now this was recommended to me by a friend and colleague, Nick Jackson. Big shouts out to you. Anyone that's not following Nick Jackson on Twitter or subscribe to his YouTube channel, make sure you do so. I'll leave links in the description for him below as well. Nick's an absolutely awesome guy. But anyway, back on track. Nick recommended this camera because, in terms of video quality, when we're having like Zoom meetings and, we're doing pair programming and any kind of collaborative kind of exercises, it's giving you a decent performance with a nice image, and it has a mic built in, which is pretty nice as well. So in terms of just my day-to-day productivity when I'm having video meetings, or if I'm having a Google Hangout with friends or whatever it is, that's definitely my go-to. However, in my job, I create a lot of video content, And when it comes to that, I tend to favor the camera that I'm speaking to right now, which is the Canon EOS M50. Now, I think you get a lot better video quality out of this. Obviously, it's not a webcam, it's actually a mirrorless camera. In terms of the content I create, it's just a better fit for that. I also have a third option, because sometimes there are things about the Canon that are a little bit annoying. So for one, I can't charge the camera while I'm using it. The only way I can do that is by swapping out the battery with a coupler, and then that plugs into the mains, which is a little bit annoying. And the other thing is it has this 30-minute shutoff. Now there's a long story behind that. I'm not going to get into it right now, but you know, after recording for 30 minutes, it will automatically stop the recording, which is annoying. I have another camera, which is the Sony a6100. You can charge it while you're using it, which is a game changer for me. And you know, I've tried filming longer than 30 minutes and it definitely does not shut off, which is great. In terms of the cameras, I tend to rotate between the three of those. Now, lighting, I think I mentioned it earlier on. I'm using the Elgato key light as my main key light above my desk. I also have another key light here, which I'm using, which I'm not going to get into. Maybe we'll do another video about my whole videography setup. If you're interested in seeing that, leave a comment below and I will try to do something for you there. But yeah, I have the Elgato key light. And the reason why I like the Elgato key light is because it integrates really well with the rest of the Elgato ecosystem. Specifically the Elgato Stream Deck, which is the next thing I'll talk about. I can control my lights just from the touch of a button on my Stream Deck. The Stream Deck, I can configure the switching it on and off, the brightness of the lights, the warmness or the coolness of the light. It just gives me absolute granular control without messing around with my mouse and trying to figure out what is where, and I can just have these things predefined at the touch of a button, which is great. I can do things like controlling scenes in OBS from the Stream Deck, which is really cool. I can even go as far as to control my lights in my office or in the rest of my house, which is absolutely cool. But there's some other stuff that I use for that, which I'll get onto. My use case for the Stream Deck is a little bit different to what I've seen on YouTube. Most of the YouTube videos that I see are aimed at gamers who are maybe Twitch streamers or YouTube streamers, and they're playing Fortnite or Minecraft or whatever it is. I'm a developer advocate, so most of the things that I create are aimed at software engineers. So the way that I configure my Stream Deck is very different to some of these streamers. So if you're interested in seeing a video around how I've set up my Stream Deck, again, please leave something in the comments and I will do my best to put some content together for that. The next gadget I have on my desk is the Loupedeck CT. Now, I'm not going to talk about this one too much because the topic of Loupedeck CT is probably a video in itself. So if you do want to see something like that, let me know in the comments. But it's really good because it's improved my productivity when it comes to video editing especially. So it links in with Adobe Premiere Pro, or if you're a Final Cut user, it will link in with that as well. And it gives me hardware hands-on control of this software. And the main benefit for me is when I'm doing sort of first edits and rough cuts, it's so quick now versus when I was using a keyboard and mouse. Now I must stress, I still have to use the keyboard and mouse a little bit. It doesn't eliminate the need for that, but the thing it does do is it speeds things up. I can jump from section to section. I can switch the zoom. I can switch tools really easily. The whole editing is a lot easier. But like I say, I'll create a video for that and we'll go into that in a bit more detail. My mic of choice is the Rode Pod Mic. Again, big shout outs to Nick Jackson as he's the person that recommended this one to me, right? It's the microphone he uses and it's the microphone I have now decided to use. And it's absolutely great. I live in a house where there's a lot of background noise, you know. I share an office with my wife and sometimes when I'm recording, I need to just record my voice and eliminate all the background noise. This mic is really good at that. Now I have the mic connected to a Native Instruments Complete Audio 1 audio interface, which does exactly what it's supposed to do. You know, it connects to my MacBook and it's really easy to use. But like with most 2-channel audio interfaces, it tends to record the audio in mono, which for someone like me who's deaf in one ear, when it comes to video editing, can be a bit of a pain, but you know, there's ways around that. And in terms of headphones, I use the Bose Quiet Comfort 2s and they're absolutely great. Probably the most comfortable headphones I've ever had in my life. I don't know if there are better headphones out there, but I see no reason to really try anything out at the moment. I'm really happy with them, and you know, until they start to malfunction, I can't see myself changing. I use the MacBook Pro 16-inch, which is okay. It works for me for what I'm doing at the moment. However, as I'm creating a lot more video content now, I think my Mac might be a little bit under-spec'd. So I'm considering my compute options at the moment there. So watch this space. I also use the iPad Pro 11-inch, which is absolutely great. I mean, from taking notes to drawing out architectural diagrams and mind maps to even using it as an additional screen for my MacBook Pro. I'm struggling to imagine life without it. Especially when you pair it up with the Apple Pencil, it's just an absolute beast of a combination. So I love it. Let's talk about peripherals now. Now, anyone that knows me knows I'm a huge fan of Razer, but it kind of doesn't fit my use case for my new desk setup. Now, the main requirements for me is I need something that's wireless. Secondly, I have multiple devices. I don't want to have to disconnect USB cables and connect it up to other devices and so on and so forth just to switch between them. So I want something that can connect up to multiple devices just at a touch of a button. Keychron have come up with a solution. So I've opted for the Keychron K2, and I absolutely love this keyboard. The mechanical switches just feel awesome to type on. The sound is beautiful. And when you pair it up with the wrist rest, which is the I think it's the walnut one that I have, it actually looks great on my desk. I love it. Now, in terms of a mouse, I've actually opted, as I'm a MacBook Pro user, to use the Apple Magic Trackpad, and it works really well for me. Now, the next thing on my desk is the Google Nest Hub. Now, I'm heavily invested in the Google ecosystem in my house. Now, what's nice about this is I can control everything from my desk just with this one touch screen. It has some other benefits as well. So, you know, in terms of productivity, it helps me organize my day quite a bit. Now, in terms of chairs, I've opted to go with the Secret Labs Omega 2020 edition gaming chair. Now, chairs are a funny one because our backs are something that we need to invest in and make sure that we're looking after. And I was quite reluctant to spend this amount of money on a chair without trying it out first. However, big shouts out to DevOps Jono and DevOps Jackie, because they both have Secret Labs chairs, and when I spoke to them, their recommendations couldn't be high enough. So I took the plunge and I bought the chair, and I have absolutely no regrets about it. I absolutely love it. My wife tried it and she went and bought a chair as well. My best friend, he's tried it and he's bought the chair as well. So Secret Labs is definitely where it's at for me. Now that about wraps up my desk tour for 2020. I'm guessing, just knowing the person I am, that this is going to evolve as time goes on. So I probably will do another one of these videos. I hope you've liked it. If you do like it, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share it amongst your friends. This has been DevOps Rob, and thank you very much for joining me. Peace.